You know, one of my favorite things to do in Wisconsin is wade rivers and fish for smallmouth bass. It's just something. I caught my first one in 1994, and I've caught thousands since, and I've caught thousands on the rivers. And it's something that's very easy to do. You know, put the waders on, find a place to get in, wade the river. We're not in very deep water right now. And I've used a lot of different lures, but back in the fall of 2007 was the very first time I used what is also my favorite lake lure for smallmouth, especially in Door County, and that's the Kalin's lunker grub. And I remember that fall, and I was using the 4 and 5 inch versions, and just was amazed at the typical smaller river fish that were hitting it. And I would have to say that my favorite color, my favorite size for my river fishing is the 4 inch blue pearl salt and pepper. 5 inch works fine also. And I'm putting this on a 1/16 ounce jig, occasionally slightly heavier, with a longer shaft, because what we want to do is we want to thread the Kalins on that jig. We put the hook in right at the center of the top, and there's a seam on each side of the Kalins that we want to run this right down that seam, right down the center, and we run it down, and we want to bring that hook point right out, right above the tail. And typically I start off swimming this with the tail opposite of the hook point, yet if it gets beat up, I'll sometimes bite off a little bit, and I'll turn it around, and it seems to work just fine. I like to use for equipment for this typically a light action or a medium light action rod, usually at least 7 feet long for rivers. That's my favorite length. I'd say 6, 7 feet. Going a little longer I use when I'm on the big water, like up in Door County, but the 7-foot medium light is perfect. I tend to like reels that are smaller, so I've got a light outfit because I'm making a lot of casts. I'm using the last 5 or 6 years the very small diameter braid. 10-pound test, 2-pound diameter, 8-pound test, 3-pound diameter, something like that. And I also, and this goes back to my time in Door County with the real clear water, but I do tie on a 3.5, 4 foot to start with fluorocarbon leader, utilizing the uni to uni knot, and it's been just great. It's something that the fish are not seeing in the clear water. Many times the rivers I fish aren't clear. Obviously Door County is clear, and some of the lakes I fish, and it's been a real, I think, a real plus. I like it. I use that. The Kalins is such an easy lure to use. There's not much that you can fish that's easier. And what I'm doing with it is I'm typically casting as far as I can cast, and I'm bringing it back as slow as I can, because this lure, and I don't know if it can be seen in the water here, but this lure was tail, how it undulates. And that's probably about the same speed as if I'm retrieving it somewhat slowly, but you can see how tantalizing that is. And also with the way I rig this on the jig, you're not having it, the body, bounce back and forth. It's the body's coming through, pretty much stable, and it's the tail that's attracting the fish. And this comes in a 3, 4, and 5 inch, and you start getting that longer tail in the 4 and 5 inch. And I do personally, I think, except in real cold water when you might want to go to a 3, I think that the 4 and the 5 are going to be just great. And overall, I guess my top to bottom, cold water to every condition, I like the 4, yet the 5 is still a great product too. But we want to bring it back slow so that tail is undulating, and that attracts the fish. And a little tougher in rivers, and that's why I'm using the lighter jig. Cast as far as we can, close the bail, and then bring it back. Oh, we got a fish. Nice timing there. We got a nice little smallie here, probably not real big. These smaller rivers, the tendency is that, yes, there are some bigger fish, but a lot of the small ones. There we go, just a nice little smallmouth. But that's what I do. I cast it, I bring it back as slow as I can. Certainly in rivers you're going to get a few more ticks on the rocks and maybe an occasional snag compared to the lakes, but that's the way to fish it. Many people seem to want to fish it a little too fast. And I say slow in the colder water, slow in the warmer water. That's the way it was designed, to fish it nice and slow, steady retrieve, not jigging it along the bottom, nice and steady, and it's just been a phenomenal lure for me. And I'm not exaggerating, since I began using them full-time in late 2007, numbers of thousands of smallmouth bass, and of all sizes. It's just a great presentation that's so easy to use that I recommend you give a try to.